Another strong early signing day for Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers, signing back-to-back top 10 classes. Let's talk about what it means for the Auburn football program on this live edition of the Up-Tempo podcast. Yes, sir. Auburn family, Up-Tempo gang. Dustin Smith, Blake Lane coming back at you guys with another episode of the Up-Tempo podcast. Yesterday was early signing day. Got it wrapped up in the books, Blake. Another top 10 class, the first time in a very long time, maybe ever, that Auburn has signed top 10 classes in consecutive years. So I feel like yesterday the Auburn Tigers football program got better. Another infusion of talent we saw last year with guys like Jay Crawford, Cam Coleman, what it means, what talented true freshmen can bring contributions to the football team immediately. So I'm very fired up, man. We're going to get in here tonight and talk about what it means for the program going forward. Talk about kind of what maybe some of these guys that are under the radar, what guys we think can get on the field early. And then I gotta throw a little bit of shade over there Oxford's way. You thought you were gonna come get our QB, but we went into your state, okay, and it's actually dip from the sip. It's actually dipped from the sip. We're going to talk about what Deuce Knight means. So, Blake, let's get right in here to it, brother. Pull up these class rankings. Auburn 2025 class on 3 has Auburn 7th, 247 has Auburn 6th, and Rivals has Auburn 8th. So, looking at last year, kind of the same thing, depending on where you looked, Auburn was 7 or 8. So, really back-to-back top 8 classes, Blake. Let's just, what does that mean for Auburn, just kind of starting to finally stack together consecutive deep classes?
Well, first thing, Dustin, I want to say this because I feel like there was a little fallout on social media yesterday. I feel like the Auburn fan base, when Neem Offord chose to go to Oregon, I feel like the fan base kind of just thought it was over. You know, that, oh no, Donovan Starr's going to flip to Alabama or Vanderbilt. Do we sign Williams? Like, what's about to happen? Like, this could go tragically bad, right?
Yeah.
And that's not what happened. That's not what happened. The staff saved the day. They did a great job. Like I told y'all, hey, I thought Neem Offord was going to sign with Auburn. I did. I think every recruiting service, Steve Wiltfong, look, like I told y'all the other night, nobody knows but these guys, their families, and head coaches. Steve Wiltfong and them, they dropped the Fong bombs. They were wrong yesterday. Multiple times, they were wrong.
Right.
I mean, Chroma comes out of nowhere and goes to Florida State.
Crazy.
So nobody truly knows. And I told y'all the other night, y'all, I've been to Eugene. I get it, okay? I truly get it. It's incredible. It's amazing. What they're doing up there is unreal. Their money is endless. Like, there's a rumor out that he's getting a Nike cleat and all that stuff. Yeah. Like, it's their money is endless, man. Phil Knight is rocking. So I get the whole move into Eugene and what Dan Lanning's putting together up there on the defensive side. You know, the fallout, it was quick, but the staff saved the day, man. So I wanted to throw that out there, that you finished with back-to-back top 10 classes. You finished with getting guys in this program that can help you now, not 3 years down the road. This isn't I don't want to say his name. This isn't one of those classes where you hope and eventually these guys develop into something. This is a class where you have these guys that can come in and play right now, like a Malik Autry, and we can keep going down the list, like a Jared Smith. You could keep going, right? Blake Woodby, Donovan Starr. You know, you have those type of guys.
You're going to have to call on Alvin next year. You're going to have to.
Alvin Henderson, he's going to get carries. Like, so you have those guys that can come in and be program changers right away, just like you had last year. Those guys stepped onto the field. We talked about it the other night. Man, we didn't know that many of them were going to play, but they did. So what happens next year if 6 of these dudes come in and find spots? It's crazy. It's working out like that, and it does give me hope, Dustin, that a lot of things have went bad on the field, but talent can sometimes cover that up. And the old saying in college football is you got to have the Jimmies and Joes before you can execute the X's and O's. So it gives me hope, man. When you sign a top 10 class, y'all, and you're in the same breath of Miami, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, y'all, those are the people right there in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, all those cats, like they're right there around you. Michigan, they're right there around it. Michigan just won a national championship last year. So you're in the same discussion as all of those schools. We just got to get the talent on campus and start making things shake. And our head coach has got to clean it up on Saturdays. And I think we'll be headed in the right direction, Dustin.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. On the Jimmys and Joes thing, it's like I don't think that the X's and O's have been good, especially this season on the offensive side of the ball, really. My only concern with defense will be on 3rd and long. But other than that, I think you dialed it up great. And even in stretches, that was fixed. There was times when it wasn't.
Yep.
But overall, we haven't had this many just dudes, just guys that I look at. I mean, me and Ike were live for like 7-8 hours yesterday for the War Poor members, man. And I definitely fell asleep during that Duke game. I apologize. I had to watch it this morning. I was just a little bit gassed out. Enough with the 8:30 tip-off times.
Dude.
My goodness, bro. I got work in the morning.
It's bad.
But listen, stacking up the talent, and me and Ike were sitting there and we were watching these guys film. Mm-hmm. As they send in their papers, and it's just we're watching Eric Winters,
mm-hmm.
and Ike's one of those guys to where he doesn't want to really get excited until signing day comes,
mm-hmm.
and he's watching Eric and he's like, man, this kid's IQ's off the chart. Oh, and he has the playmaking ability, the athletic ability to go with it. And we just went through that time after time after time, and you put on a tape like Jordan Crawford. And this guy, he doesn't tackle quarterbacks. He's going to have to stop doing what he's doing because it's a penalty in college. But he likes to just pick you up and suplex you. Mm-hmm. Like Ty Buster does not like to block you. It's not what he wants to do. He wants to murder you.
Yeah.
He wants to murder you. Elijah Melendez, go watch 3 minutes of Elijah Melendez's huddle.
Mm-hmm.
This kid has to be on kickoff coverage next year. Has to be on kickoff coverage. It's ridiculous. And I know how you like to always get a defender from South Florida going down there again this year, pulling that one off. Yep. And, we lost one as far as Naheem Alford goes, and he was never really committed to Auburn, but he was trending towards Auburn for a long time, and we were really feeling good about him towards the end of last week, beginning of this week. Oregon comes in and gets him. Shoe deal. I mean, Auburn we can't offer you a shoe deal. Auburn doesn't own a shoe company. Okay, So there's nothing we can do about that one. But Oregon pushed hard for Elijah Melendez late last weekend, and I said this the other day. I think it was Tuesday, and I just kind of want to reiterate it when you're talking about kind of the freak out that happened with the Auburn fan base. And I know that Charlie Five has touched on it a couple times in the last 24 hours. There's only one team in the top 20 of the recruiting rankings that had a losing record, and that's Auburn.
Yep.
So just retaining all the guys, holding off Florida for Malik Autry, holding off South Carolina for Jared Smith. Mm-hmm. The Donovan Starr situation. I mean, he committed a while back, but I remember watching this film and being like, this kid is an athletic freak, man. An athletic freak. And then when Shamar Ano switches up to Florida State, and then Naheem goes, me and you started texting, and we were like, hey, going all the way back to the Dante Core situation, did we drop the ball here with DB? And Texas is pushing late with Devin Williams. Auburn's able to get it, and it was so funny. I see some of y'all that were actually in the live chat yesterday. The on-3 thing dropped for Star was trending towards Vanderbilt. Now, Devin, I see you in here. She knows. I said, guys, that's fake. That's negotiation. I said, when a DB picks Vanderbilt over Auburn, I believe it when he actually does it. but sorry, just scoreboards hanging from a freaking crane. Okay,
Yeah.
like not buying
Yeah.
it, not buying it. Got 8 DBs in the NFL currently for Auburn. Like, not buying that. And then it was very clear what Donovan Starr was doing. He pushes his commitment date back to a Friday. Naheem goes to Oregon, and then Donovan says, "I'm going to make my decision today." So, yeah, and Hugh Freeze said, and he wasn't lying, he's had Donovan Starr very, very high up on his board. He was actually in the press conference yesterday whenever Donovan sent in his papers, and somebody kind of like pointed at Hugh and notified him that we're good to go, and he saw the relief on his face, and he was like, "I don't even know if I can say his name yet. I don't know if the paper's officially in, but that's a big one." And then Texas was a late push for Devin Williams, and I gotta give my shout out to On the Victory. Gotta give my shout out to On the Victory. You know, you have to have all your ducks in a row. You have to have complete alignment behind the scenes if you're going to pull in this kind of class, especially after you go 5-7. And it's just kind of funny because, Blake, over or under a dozen times last week, you got private DMs or texts asking you if the class was going to fall apart.
It was insane, man. And, you know, that's why we talked about that the other night. We touched on it. We're fall apart? No. But we said, could this thing drop down to 7 or 8? But you wouldn't fall outside of the top 10 because it didn't have time to fall apart. If it would have fell apart, y'all, it would have fell apart when Auburn was 2-5.
After Vanderbilt, yeah.
That's what it went. It would have fell apart. Like, you weren't going to have 6 flips yesterday and these guys say, "Hey, tricked you. You thought I was coming to Auburn." No. I think Hugh did a great job and staff did a great job keeping this together. And we're going to be okay. We're getting there, man. Hey, you got to stack them. You got to stack them up, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to get to some comments before we get to our next section or next segment. Let me pull that off the screen. See you guys in the chat. Devin's in here, says, "War Eagle family." We appreciate you, Devin. Had fun chatting it up with you yesterday. Justin said, "Gus Malzahn got us," talking about Uzman Chroma. I'll say this. I bet Gus may have called him and said, "Hey, buddy, I'd give you that rock 40 times a game. I'll give you that pill." Ain't nobody ever said to Gus Malzahn, "I wish you'd use the running back more." That has never been said. And look, he was trending to Florida State a long time back in the summer. They've been in that one for a while, but that was surprising.
Some people actually tell Gus to use a running back less.
Yeah, or use 2 at least.
Yeah, because you ruin some's careers. But
yeah, ran carry on into the ground. Detroit drafted him, and I'm thinking he's already busted up.
Yeah.
Devin Dawson says best AU podcast by far. Hey Devin, this is my favorite comment ever, brother. I'm gonna put this up every time we get it. Thanks, buddy. Lindsey Turner says at work watching the live. Appreciate that, big dog. Keep grinding out there. It's 5:26. Man, hopefully you get off soon, but thank you for tuning in the middle of your workday, man. We appreciate it. Hope that we make your day go a little bit faster. The weakest link says we got everybody we were supposed to sign yesterday. We missed out on the others in large part due to a 5-win season. And I want to stay here for a second. The weakest link. This is a really good point, and me and Ike were talking about this yesterday when it was kind of all wrapping up. We have seen this staff and Hugh Freeze specifically sign 2 top 8 classes after going 6-7 and 5-7. We already know the 2026 class is sitting in a good position. And a lot of those kids are fired up to be at Auburn. Like, if you follow JaMychal Garrett on Twitter, you know this guy is coming to Auburn and he's fired up to do it. So what happens, and this is a long way, you know, but what happens if Auburn goes 9-3 next year? What happens when this staff starts winning? Because if they're pulling in the 6th, 7th, 8th ranked class going 5-7, with bad publicity. Like,
yep.
After the Oklahoma game, you had a week of everyone just clowning you in the media. After the Missouri game, you just had a week. Arkansas, Cal, like, what were the discussions those whole week? Was, man, look at Auburn out here blowing games.
Yep.
And despite all that negative perception, despite all that negative press, Auburn will lose close games, and then the beat writers on the recruiting side of things will have to go and ask the same questions to these kids every single week. Hey man, tough loss. You know, what do you think? And you sticking with the class? Like that could have built up, and they still, despite all that, landed this amazing class. So I'm wondering, what's the ceiling for these guys when we start winning? Top 3? Like, we can
That
do it, man.
that's how I felt. But how big was that Texas A&M win?
Oh, dude. We talked about it at the time.
It probably saved things for real.
Yes. 100% agreed.
Yeah, it's like that was a massive win. We said you had to get one of the two. You either had to get A&M or you had to get Bama. So that could have played a big part.
Yeah, I think it did, man. Especially with Deuce and then Ole Miss going and losing to Florida that day and everything that kind of went into that. That was just a great day. That was just a great day for Auburn and for everybody out there that was dumb enough to say you shouldn't storm the field when you beat Texas A&M. This is why you stormed the freaking field in that scenario, because all the recruits that you wanted to come got to storm the field and got to see that atmosphere. It was just for that reason alone. If I was in the stands that night, I would have been screaming, "Rush the damn field! We got to show these kids what this place can be."
That's a fact.
The Water Cooler Talk podcast. What's up, big dog? Appreciate you. He said, and go over and check him out. He had some great coverage yesterday. They said they stayed together, and that's a win in itself. Absolutely. And we talked about this too the other night. All these, like Anquan Fagans, by the way, congratulations on the state championship. Anquan Fagans is a stud. He's an absolute stud. Just because he committed in the summer doesn't mean you should be less excited for him.
Yep.
I know that we wanted the big signing day pop, and I keep hearing everybody say, well, I guess it would have been, if we would have flipped Deuce on signing day, it would have been more exciting in the moment. Who gives a shit? He's coming to the school. Like, I don't care. I don't care. Like, why? I don't understand any of that. You're on the team. You're coming to Auburn, and 21 of the 25 are early enrollees, which should really, really fire you up.
Yep.
I think it's the two Smith brothers, and I can't remember the other two guys on top of my head, but majority of the class is coming in. Your quarterback's coming in early. It's just a lot. It's just a lot to be excited with, Blake.
Hey, I was going to tell you this. Speaking of, like, Jared Smith wore USC gloves, Southern Cal gloves in the state championship game last night. And yes.
What?
So they posted it in this Facebook Auburn group that I'm in, and he was like, had his hand up, and it was like USC, and it had like a Trojan in it and everything. And this guy, first comment is, he's like, USC gloves? Why would you wear USC gloves? And I was like, hey, guy, his NLI is at Auburn, okay? Like, he signed that puppy this morning and faxed it over, all right? He can wear any glove he wants in the state championship game because guess what? He's going to Auburn, so it doesn't matter, all right? Some things crack me up.
Yeah,
on
listen,
social
towel
media,
watch,
man.
Cleat watch, glove watch it's a waste of time.
I saw so-and-so at the mall, bro. He was wearing this shirt. I'm like, hey, you know what's weird? You know what's weird is that you pay attention to what a 17-year-old kid is wearing. That is weird. It is weird.
Probably got it for free. Probably got it for free and threw it on. Devin Dawson with a good point. He said, we should be excited about the guys that committed early. Those are our number one targets. Yeah. Malik Autry's been committed to forever. But, like, make no mistake about it, you battled for Malik Autry for a year and a half.
Yep.
You fended off Ohio State. You fended off a late NIL push from Florida. So just because they committed early, man, in my opinion, you should get re-excited for that guy when he actually sends in his national letter of intent. Because in the way that Auburn's trying to flip these cats, when you have elite studs like Auburn had in this class, people are coming after them, and people are coming after them hard. So let's get in here and talk about this, Blake. 2025, which one of these guys can be the Jalen Crawford, the Malik Blockton, the Cam Coleman of this class? Who are some guys that you're looking at and saying they can step on the field as true freshmen and make an impact early?
Man, I think you got to look at guys like Malik Autry, Antonio Coleman, Jordan Crawford. You could even look at Fagans. I think he could
Stud,
pop.
Man.
You gotta look. You gotta look at JJ Fault, right? Like you gotta look at Starburst, like, and I know these are defensive guys, right? But you go over to offense and you look at Alvin. I think Alvin's going to get some run next year. It might not be starter, 20, 20 carries a game, whatever. He might get 6 or 7 carries here and there, but I think he gets on the field. I look at I wouldn't even mind saying Blake Woodby or Donovan Starr maybe get
Right.
in and see some time. Jared Smith, like you could keep going on down the line. Like I'm not going to be hesitant this year like I was last year because look at all the freshmen that found the field this past season. So I look at this class and I say, man, they can do the same thing. Like they can have these dudes could come in and get on the field. Like this is a talented bunch, man. It's a talented bunch. Like you rip off those names and you start saying, hey, like it would be hard for me to see Anquan Fagans like not get on the field next year because I think he's that good.
Agreed.
Like,
and you saw the depth, how a couple injuries in a room, and I mean Jalen Crawford didn't start the year as a starter. Injuries put him in that role, and it's going to happen again.
Yep. I mean, I don't want to think about this, but does Kayan Lee feel a little pressure? I mean,
think so. Yeah,
you got some DBs. You signed some really nice DBs. Who is an offensive lineman that could potentially start, in your opinion? Do you think we have a guy that could come in and start?
If there was going to be another lineman, I agree with the water cooler here. He's talking about Broderick Schroll at offensive tackle. And it's kind of hard to judge playing high school football in Oklahoma, but when you watch the tape, it's just he's already so polished, and that athleticism that Broderick Schroll possesses on top of the strength is not Auburn has not signed an offensive lineman like this. And I'm a big fan of DeAndre Carter, and I think Hugh Freeze has sung his praises all season, and I love Carter. I think he's going to be a stud. I think he actually cracks the starting rotation next year. But I think he starts week 1. But Broderick Schroll, man, he just has this package. We have not seen this, guys. We have not seen this. So it's hard. I've seen LSU recently play some young cats at freshmen at the offensive line. You don't do it a lot in the SEC, but if there was a guy, I think it would be him. My guy, Blake, that I'm looking at, and I agree with what Jordan Crawford, water cooler, said that as well. I could definitely see, because the defensive line, you got to rotate guys, and I think that we didn't have enough guys to rotate last year. And I think when you get to the A&M game and you get to the Bama game, some of what you saw on defense, I think, was end of the season, lack of depth, guys are freaking tired. Same thing at the linebacker position. I think we've seen 2 years in a row, I think we saw as the season went on, Eugene Asante get tired. And I think you've added guys now that can get in there and help out with that rotation. So does Jordan Crawford, does Antonio Coleman, do they have massive years? Probably not. Like what Malik Blockton did this year as a freshman was special. But I think you can get something similar from those guys. They're definitely going to be called upon. And yeah, if you turn on Blake Woodby's film, and you turn on Anquan Fagan's film, it's like, is that guy really going to sit on the bench all year? Doubt it. I doubt it. Like you gotta find a way. Eric Winters the same thing. Like, and to your point, yeah, man.
That's a good one.
Yeah, to your point about Kayan Lee, you get into spring practice and Kayan Lee's not, or whoever is not playing quite up to par. It's not. Oh well, J.C. Hart's the next guy, and he's not quite ready. It's not that. It's 5-star Blake Woodby. And he will be ready to go most likely. And if he's not, you've got somebody, because Fagans can do anything. Yeah. Fagans can play outside corner. I mean, he's a safety, but if you had to, that guy can do anything. Same thing with Eric Winters. But here's the guy I want to say, and think about the position room where it stands right now. I think Hollis Davidson can come in and make an impact early. I think because, first off, that size on top of that athleticism is crazy.
Yeah.
He's so tall, and from the little bit of research I've done on him and gathered from him, he appears to be the kind of guy that picks up a baseball bat and yokes a home run, picks up a basketball and strokes a 3, runs the post route and catches the touchdown. He's just a freak athlete, one of those guys that no matter what he does, he's just good at it. Mm-hmm. Good hand-eye coordination, got the size. The speed with the size is crazy. the hands, the technique. He understands how to box out, go up and get it. And I'm looking at our freaking red zone woes. And I'm saying, hey, the 6'6", 225, 230-pound tight end that can run like a deer, there's no sense in not being able to throw a jump ball up to him and him be able to go get it. And what do we got? You got Frazier coming off an injury, and you've got Rico Walker. You're going to probably add a guy in the portal. And then, I see a path for Hollison to get in there right away and be that pass-catching tight end. That role is sitting there waiting to be filled, and I think he has every ability to do it. So that's a guy that I'm looking at and saying, okay. And then also, how ready to play a lot of downs on defense will Elijah Melendez be? I don't know. But Elijah Melendez better not get redshirted, because I believe from the day he steps on campus, he will be one of the best special teams players we got. If Elijah Melendez is not on kickoff coverage next year, it's an absolute crime. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go turn on the first 3 minutes of his huddle. He knocks people out of the screen. They're running on the field, and then he hits them, and they disappear from your vision. He knocks them out. And on kickoff coverage, when he gets a 30, 40-yard head start, it's crazy dumb. So in that aspect, I think he will definitely be a guy that can get on there, and I think he's just vastly underrated, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. He's coming out of a region that scouts go to. He's coming out of a bit. I don't know why Elijah is as lowly rated as he is, but I think he is also a guy that can come on and make plays right away.
Man, you look at Miami right now, you're wondering why aren't they on him?
He flipped. Yeah, he was committed to him at one time.
Yeah. So I mean. Look, I didn't throw Deuce Knight in there.
Yeah, we're going to talk about him in a second. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll save that then. You want to get to the super chat?
Yeah, let's get to the super chat, and then we'll talk about the quarterback and what all that means. Alan Berry says, Auburn is 6th in composite rankings, I think, but 5th in the conference. The competition in this league is crazy. SEC, baby. And baseball, now basketball. I know Auburn fell a little bit short at Cameron last night, kind of to be expected, honestly. But overall, SEC handling the ACC yesterday, and this conference is the premier athletic conference. And like we talked about when we had somebody in the chat last week saying the SEC was down, and we said, let's just take a look at these rankings when they come in. The rankings are in, Alan, and you're right, man. The competition in the SEC is nuts.
Yeah, it's always been the best conference, man. And I think it always will be. Southern football is just different. The athletes are different. The people are different. The way people care about this sport in the South. I've been to other places and it's not as big. The NFL reigns supreme in those other places. And it's always going to be different here. And then you also added Texas and Oklahoma to the bunch, and it doesn't make it any easier. This thing only got tougher because you added two of the most historical programs in college football history. And, I'll say this about it. I heard a guy, I can't remember whose coach it was. Maybe somebody in the chat knows, but he was talking about them trashing the Big 12. And the Big 12, it's sad that Arizona State and Iowa State, only one of them are going to get in the playoffs. And he was like, because Texas went into the SEC in their first year, and they won it. They're going to the SEC championship game. They won it. They did what they needed to do. They're going to rematch Georgia. That's great, man. But I'll tell you this: Texas knew that they were coming to the SEC for 2 years.
Built up that line.
You don't think they prepared? You don't think they walked into living rooms 2 years out and said, "Hey, look." Right. Steve Sarkisian sat down and said, "Hey, look at me. Come here. All right, we're not in the Big 12 anymore. We're in the SEC. Come on down. Come on down here to Austin. Let's go play big boy football." That's what it means, man. There's a reason why Brent Venables is still at Oklahoma. You want to know why? Because they believe in his defense, and they know that what they had wasn't going to work in the Southeastern Conference. They knew Lincoln Riley putting up 60 a game in the Big 12 wasn't going to work. And, oh, boy, look at them out in the Big Ten. Their offense ain't working, y'all. They're not putting up all them points. Because the Big Ten's the second best conference, and they play a little defense like the SEC does. And Lincoln's struggling. So these schools that come into the SEC, they knew that they were coming. So they prepared ahead of time to get a jump start. It only made it tougher, man. The SEC is stacked. We could sit down at a table and talk about this for hours. I would love to have the conversation. If anyone would love to bring to me the Big Ten, the ACC, or whoever, the Pac-2 now, whatever you want to argue about, I'd love to do it, because the Southeastern Conference is the best at baseball, football, and now we're the best at basketball, and they hate to see it. They hate to say it. Oh, yeah, and guess what? I forgot about softball, golf, tennis.
Gymnastics.
Gymnastics, like cheerleading, whatever you want to really throw out there. Wheelchair basketball, we're good at that too. So,
yeah, absolutely. All the 5 stars signed with either the SEC or the Big Ten. No 5-star went to any other conference outside of the SEC and the Big Ten, and that tells you everything you need to know. So, Blake, you kind of made mention of it, and let's go ahead and get to it. A guy that I know you've seen a couple times. I've gone out and seen a couple times. He'll get to it in a second. 5-star QB, see if you can work it in somewhere, Blake. 5-star QB, Deuce Knight, signs with Auburn out of Lucedale, Mississippi, kind of right there close to you. I'll just say this. I watched him a couple times on TV his junior year, and then I went and watched him a couple times in person this year. And the improvement that he made from his junior to his senior season with his footwork, with his lower body, and just the accuracy. I mean, man, I don't think I saw him have a bad throw in the game I went to. And deep balls, man. I mean, deep balls. Our members know, because I would put the highlights up for him the weekend after I went and watched him play. It was just, he probably threw 10 balls longer than 30 or 40 yards. And every single one of them was on the money. And he hadn't played in a month. And it was the week that he had come back from the hamstring injury. He only ran the ball 3 times. It was all on third downs. One time 3rd and 13. He got the 13 and then ran out of bounds. And he was clearly still kind of dealing with the injury when he did that. If you look at some of his combine numbers, his high jump, his long jump, his 40 and all that, some of them grade out better than what Anthony Richards did at the NFL Combine. What you think about that for a second? Okay, this kid is an absolute stud, man. So just, Blake, what does this mean for this offense moving forward? What does this mean for this program moving forward? I would make the argument Auburn has not had a quarterback with this kind of ceiling. I'm saying ceiling that can be reached, not where he's at today, but we have not had a quarterback with this ceiling since I've been an Auburn fan. I mean, Cam Newton's Cam Newton. Okay, that's an anomaly. But other than that, and even that was a JUCO guy, yada yada yada. Already played at Florida. Coming out of high school, dude, we haven't had a guy like this, man. I'm sorry, this kid's unreal.
Well, first off, big shout out to Deuce, man. He was showing off the cut yesterday, I always make my jokes about Deuce and the waves have got to be elite. So I'm glad to have Deuce, man. Hey. I'm excited too, because I'm about 30 minutes from Lucedale, and I know what kind of people are from Lucedale, Mississippi. It's a hard-working bunch. It's a place where there's not a lot to do. And as y'all saw, I made a little joke on Twitter the other day. If you were watching Deuce's Instagram Live, my man was running on dial-up internet, right? So that's just what kind of place Lucedale is. It's a country town, hard-working people. Everybody gets along, and that's the way it is. You like to hunt, fish, play football, baseball, basketball, and that's what you do with your free time, and work out and get stronger. So I'm proud of Deuce, man, that he stuck with the Auburn Tigers. I think this is massive for Auburn, for this program, for Hugh Freeze, with what you just had to go through. It's massive. You get a 5-star quarterback after what you just had to go through for the last 2 years, and people every single week start this quarterback, start that quarterback, start this quarterback, get this quarterback from the portal, get that quarterback from the portal.
How would you describe quarterback play over the last 2 years, Blake?
Dog water. Dog water. Atrocious, terrible. Cheeks, buns. Some of the worst I've ever seen. Was possibly missing Kyle Frazier. Was possibly, I was going back through and just thinking of like, hey man, I'm sitting here thinking of Clint Mosley going in at LSU and trotting out, and I'm like, hey, we're back to that point, So, yeah, it's been rough. It's been rough. And Deuce is a guy, he transferred up to Tennessee. They played Saraland. He got on ESPN. Everybody's like, oh, he was terrible. He transferred back. That's not why he transferred back. And if you watch that night, he didn't put up eye-popping numbers, but he was also running for his life, and his receivers could not catch at all. So he gets back to George County. He puts the work in. He's back with the guys that he's been with for years, and he lets it air out, man. He shows the arm strength. He shows the speed, the quickness. Like you said, he went and made adjustments. That's probably the biggest thing that I look at, is because you watch some of the clips before his senior season and you say, man, there's some stuff that's got to be cleaned up. And then you go watch him in his senior year and you're like, hey, this dude's been putting in the work. Now, I'm not saying that Deuce Knight's going to come in and start as a freshman.
Right.
So could he start as a freshman? We're seeing it more and more in the game of college football. Does he? I don't think so. I think Deuce is going to compete with Walker White at some point in their Auburn careers, and may the best man win. And this is the best possible outcome for Auburn, y'all. It's the best possible outcome for Auburn. I had somebody post on my Facebook the other day. All I said, he was an Alabama fan, loved the dude to death. I said, Deuce Knight is an Auburn Tiger. He says, so you're just going to shit on Walker White like that, huh?
That's not how it works. It's not how it works.
And I said, no, why would I do that? I said, may the best man win when they compete for quarterback one. Like that's how it's going to be, man. These two dudes are going to find themselves in a competition. Maybe not this coming season, maybe not next, but at some point they're going to compete for QB1 at Auburn. Now, you're going to have to go to the portal, even with Deuce, man. I think you're going to have to grab a guy. It's inevitable at this point. Like, you got to.
Yeah.
You got to. I think man, I'm almost to the point where I know Hank Brown said that the rumors aren't true, but if he does, Dustin, like, does Auburn pick up a guy in this portal window, and then they go through spring, and Hank decides to transfer? Does Auburn go and pick up another portal guy? Like, is there a possibility for Auburn to get two portal QBs like that? Because that's where I'm sitting at. Because I don't want Deuce to come in as a true freshman and be thrown into the fire, because we've seen how it's played out for true freshmen in the SEC. Lagway gives me a little hope, though. I mean, he played pretty well, but it's still a tall task, man.
Yeah,
it's a tall task to ask Deuce Knight to come in and do that.
Yeah. I just I don't think hopefully he doesn't have to play this year. But yeah, it's been so funny, this whole process, to see the people that say, what does this mean for Walker White? What does this mean for Walker White? It means there's a competition. And
man,
Hugh Freeze, that's what it is. This is SEC football. And if you think, and then, like, these guys aren't soft. Like, Walker White's not soft. He's ready. He's ready. He's not going to go to Hugh Freeze and say, hey, you better sign a 3-star project in this class, or I'm going to transfer. He knows that Hugh's got to go sign the best guy that he can get. That's the name of the game. And that's what you want to have. You want to have the best room, and then when that competition becomes available, to whoever comes out on top, you should feel good about it because you had a lot of talented guys battling. So yeah, I've never understood that whole mindset. Doesn't mean anything. It means that hopefully you get a portal guy this year with a year of eligibility left. That hopefully it works out, and then you go into that following season with the Deuce Knight Walker White battle. I think that would be the ideal setup for Auburn. And the thing that Deuce brings is that ability when everything is bad, when everything fails, when the play fails and everything goes wrong. Okay, well, I'll turn it up and make 15 yards out of it. You can't coach that. You can't teach it. A guy either has that playmaking ability or he doesn't. And you preach it, Blake, and I'm going to piggyback off of it. Auburn does not have enough game breakers on offense.
Facts.
We have to put together too many damn 10, 12 play drives. There's too many third down conversions we have to make. Man, we need more 2 and 3 play drives. Bang, 62 yards to the house. Tutty.
Yep.
There's just not enough of that. It improved this year with guys like Cam Coleman and KLS. It improved. It got better. But it's still not enough. 14 points in the Iron Bowl when you had 4 turnovers at your disposal. You got to put up 20 points when you get 4 turnovers, man. 7 points versus Vanderbilt, bro. That's because you don't have any playmakers. The offense is not going to click 12 like what LSU did in 2019, what Auburn did in 2010. That's rare. Even the best offense. Look at Texas. Steve Sarkisian's a genius. They got all kind of talent on that offensive side of the ball over there at Texas. They have games where they don't go off, but they've equipped their team to win any kind of game. And what happens in those games when they're not going off is they make 1 or 2 plays. A guy will bust a big one. They make enough plays. And when Auburn gets in that game versus Vanderbilt, second half versus Oklahoma, when you have to have it, we don't have that guy. When you have a guy at quarterback that's going to start the play with the ball in his hands, that can turn any play into a house call, it's a different dynamic, man. It's a different dynamic. And on 3rd and 12, when there's a miscommunication between Deuce and the wide receiver, when it all breaks down, he can say, to hell with it. I'm going to go. And he gets it. And he can get it. Or he can keep the play alive long enough to where eventually one of those 5-star wide receivers does cut across the field open because you can't guard him for 5 or 6 seconds, and Deuce is running around there and making things happen. So it just opens up when all the X's and O's fail. Jimmy's and Joe's prevail. And that's kind of where it opens you up to that possibility. I want to get to a few more of these comments, and then we're going to get out of here, guys. Please hit that like button, sub to the channel. We've had a really good couple of weeks with the subs, and it means a lot to us. We really appreciate you guys. The memberships have been doing very well, and I know that, again, this hasn't been the funnest of seasons, but you guys have been in here and been supportive, and we really appreciate it. What you got, brother?
We're dropping one tonight. As soon as I get home from this birthday dinner, I'm going to drop. Dustin did a member pod. It's about 7 minutes long. I think you guys will enjoy it. So
yeah, and there's going to be a lot more of this coming out in the next couple of weeks because we still got to do the Darian Smith, who officially flipped from Tennessee to Auburn yesterday. I didn't want to do it, even though we kind of knew it was coming until we officially flipped. Didn't want to jinx it, and then get in some more, look at some senior tape on some of these guys. So we still got plenty of film to look at. Harold says, glad we got Star. Absolutely, you had to have him, especially the way that all played out. And good on Auburn for just, you beat Bama. Like, I know he was committed to Auburn, but you beat Bama. Bama makes a late push. The Vanderbilt thing, bro. Like, I'm just not buying that. I'm sorry. I'm not buying any of that crap. But yeah, you beat Bama head up for a DB, despite just losing to him by 2 touchdowns. So for sure. Water Cooler says, don't forget about equestrian. We can never forget about Auburn equestrian. They're always doing them thing on the horses, man. Michael says, hey, now we have high-speed internet out here in Loosedale. Do y'all? Yeah, man. It's out there for sure. But really a cool little town, man, and just really excited to get Deuce as part of this Auburn family. Harold says, man, I swear I save y'all's videos for when I'm on the road. Keeps me awake at 2, 3 in the morning. Keep up the good work, fellas. Hey, we appreciate that, Harold. I guess I'm assuming you're a truck driver or doing some kind of stuff out there on the road. So appreciate you, brother. Be safe out there. And thanks for your support. C says, I don't see why other schools start freshmen and do fine. At quarterback, listen, DJ Lagway's a freak, and Am I missing anybody? It's rare.
And he struggled at times. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so it's few and far between. See, and I'll throw this one out there. Texas, all the hype was with Arch Manning, right? Texas has Quinn. Everybody was like, man, is Quinn going to go to the NFL? What are they going to do with Arch? Arch didn't come in and take nobody's job. Even this year, when Arch got thrown into the fire, he sat all of last year. Even this year, he got thrown in when Quinn went down, and he played pretty well. Guess what Sark did? Right back to the bench, buddy. You want to know why? Because you're not ready. You're not ready to take every single snap of this football game. Because I got Quinn over here, and it's just not your time yet. Not yet. Now next year, yeah, it'll be your time. You've had reps. You've seen the game. The game has probably slowed down a hair for you at this point because you've gotten in some games and you've gotten some work in some key situations. So you've got your feet wet. But last year and this year, I don't care how much hype you had around you, and I don't care about your last name. Steve Sarkisian said, buddy, you're not ready. And that's just how it is in the SEC, man. Like, it's few and far between where a true freshman walks on campus and says, hey, I'm ready to win 9, 10 games.
Yeah. See, Lenore Sellers, Nico, those guys are redshirt freshmen. They had a year of scout team. They had a year of learning the system. They had a year of going up against good SEC defenses in practice. So, yeah, it's just that year makes a difference, man.
Yeah, Nico got to come in and practice in the bowl, and he got to sit that year and then stepped in this year and all. It's tough, man. Like, it's very, very hard. And you even watch Nico at times. He struggles, y'all. He struggles. You watch the second half of that Georgia game, and that is true. That is what you get out of a freshman. Like, those are freshman mistakes where you have receivers wide open. I was at the Tennessee and Alabama game. He had Squirrel White for a touchdown. He had him wide open running down the field. And he missed it. He is in the playoff, but the only reason he's in the playoff is because they expanded it. So, and they're, I mean, you might as well let Sister Mary in the playoff and everybody else and her mama and daddy and all that. I mean, everybody gets a chance.
Yeah, if Boise State's getting a 4 seed and a bye, then I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah, I said that.
I have no idea. I have no what we're doing. And yeah, like Lenore Sellers. I remember last year whenever Shane Beamer sat down with Josh Pate for his speaker series, he kind of told Josh Pate, he said, hey, I got a guy at quarterback. He's just not ready. He's a true freshman. He's just not ready. He needs a year to sit. But next year, once Spencer Rattler goes pro, I'm going to unleash him. Go back and watch it. It was like a year or two ago at this point. But he told Josh Pate, said, I got a guy, but he's just not quite ready. He needs to sit, scout team for a year, go up against a good South Carolina defense, and yeah. And then the last one I'm going to finish off here, guys, and then we're going to get out of here. Tim the Toolman Taylor says, we need Tim Cook to help us with some bags, put the Apple logo on the scoreboard, and let us get a few meal. I'm here to tell you guys something right now. Tim Cook ain't helping. Tim Cook don't give a damn about Auburn sports. He ain't helping. I don't care what he goes off at. He might every now and then throw a little War Eagle out on social media or something. Tim Cook don't give a damn about Auburn sports, guys. So that ain't happening. You can expect no NIL money from Tim Cook. Sorry.
You think Apple gives a damn about a 5-7 Auburn football team? Tim Cook don't give a piss.
He don't.
All he cares about is how much money is flowing and did you get your iPhone 16? That is all he cares about. Get the new AirPods. Get the new iPad. That's it. Yeah, I see people keep throwing out Tim Cook. Y'all, all he's wanting you to do is go to Best Buy and just get the iPad. All right? Don't get the tiny screen. Get the big screen. All right? Get the brand new the Apple Air Pros and all that are like this right here. Look, I love my AirPods. I think they're the greatest invention ever. But he ain't with Auburn football, y'all. He ain't with Auburn football. He's about he's worried about making the new iPhone 17 and marking it up for $1,000 for a cell phone and all that good stuff. So
I can promise y'all this: if I ever somehow, no, it ain't gonna happen, but if I ever get Tim Cook money, you can bet your ass Naheem offered coming to Auburn. Okay, if I can make y'all that promise. If I get that kind of money, yes, sir, Auburn might get in some trouble. What was the dude down at Miami, Shapiro?
Yeah.
When I saw that, when that whole thing happened, I was like, yeah, that's me with some money.
Yeah.
That's me with some money in Auburn for us. Yeah, we'd get into trouble. We'd get into trouble. Smash that thumbs up, man. Y'all share this thing out on social media. Top 10 class, back-to-back for the first time. It's awesome. We got a lot of basketball content coming out for you guys. You got one you want to pull up before we go?
No, just he said iPhone 17 offered edition. That's
I'm
crazy.
with you, bro. I'm with you. We should have. Hey, definitely could have pulled off something there. I wish we would have. But listen, man. All in all, really good class. A lot of guys that I think are going to contribute and contribute early. Really, really excited about it. And we're going to keep pumping out the stuff, the film breakdown on these guys for our members. And I'm really excited now to. Portal opens up Monday, Blake, and I got a feeling like as soon as that thing opens, you're going to start seeing names fly for Auburn. I think we're going to be big spenders in that thing. So still a whole lot of content, still a whole lot of discussion to go on that. And we kind of get to shift our focus a little bit towards what I think is the best basketball team in the country and actually talk about some damn winning. Some damn winning, not some hyperbole. Well, if we do this and do this in the future, we might be able to do this. Now we get to talk about some real winning, and that fires me up to really proud of Bruce Pearl and excited to see what this team has got going on. So y'all smash that like button, sub to the channel if you haven't, and we'll catch you guys later on. It's War Damn Eagle, baby.
War Damn.